Good morning, everybody. This is Michael from Spades Consulting. We are going to talk about the rise of thirst trapping and using it as an economic indicator. Now, given we are incredibly deep to the in the red pill winning overall in terms of the social landscape, wokeness is very much so on the decline and slowly getting picked apart and torched from corporations and business in general and life in general. There's no time for luxury ideologies. Women's empowerment is just like, okay, congratulations, girls, you got power for a little while, and you did exactly what people expected you to do. You took that power and you unrighteously abused it at every opportunity you could just because you wanted to make a statement everywhere possible. The whole victim mentality, using the victim mentality so you could take grandstands as if you've actually accomplished anything, and really all you did was cost a bunch of guys their jobs for dumb shit, legitimately dumb shit. Now, given, I will admit, I worked for a company where it took five or six different complaints to get rid of the creepy super. All right, I know what the reality is, but for most of the corporate jobs, it's like, all right, you're legitimately making mountains out of molehills. You're turning the moon into a Death Star just because. Men are evil and they gotta be made an example of. Anyway, back to the goddamn point. Thirst trapping. So this is something that has repeated throughout history way, way too many times. It's not a mistake. It's not just a random occurrence. It is every time the economy starts sinking. And this could honestly go all the way back to the 70s, the start of the sexual revolution and the big push to really get women into working the same 40-hour plus a week jobs, corporate or otherwise, uh, essentially dragging women out of the household, but telling them, they should want it. Uh, way too many women in particular. Um, Even if, like, girls have a hive mind, and it's like deeply ingrained into them. They're constantly seeking validation. So what ends up happening on that front is one they're very programmable. They're very brainwashable in that respect. It's just like, yeah, you should want to go out of the house and have to work the jobs that drive men to crippling depression and possibly just because it becomes too much to bear. Because for the most part, a lot of men only know how to show they care through sacrifice, regular, consistent, including growing sacrifices. And it's an important part to the hero's arc. Um, putting yourself aside to do the right thing for others, especially when those others are weaker than you. Regardless, back to the point again. Whenever the financial situation declines, you see women more and more abandon the men, and you see the rise of hypergamy. Okay? Could the rise in hypergamy happen otherwise without there being the financial motive? Yeah, yeah, it absolutely could. But it is a hell of a motivator. When Weimar started going down the deepest parts, because everybody would expect that, cosmetics and hair care and nails and mani-pedis and all this other shit that women use to upgrade their appearance you would think that those would naturally fall away, all right, as, you have hyperinflation, starvation soon to come. You would think that, okay, well, naturally, at least from, the male point of view, you would think, all right, you'd stop spending on the dumb shit, because you gotta put food on the table. That's the opposite. It's the opposite. What happens as the economy begins to decline is women begin upping their appearance even more. Okay, it becomes a race to become the hottest. Okay, because whoever becomes the hottest is most likely to not just live another day, but is more likely to succeed as the resources by, hooking up with a dude with resources. There's success in that if you win. Okay. Bring that forward to today. We have our own inflation situation that is getting closer to the point where normal people would refer to it as a hyperinflation. We are effectively dancing on the edge of drifting into a hyperinflation. And just for example, let me pull up the price of silver right now. Silver spot. What's it at? Please don't be too high. Holy shit. Oh my god. Dude, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, okay. Give me a minute here, guys. Holy fuck. All right, so a while back it was 49 and dancing around 50, which would put the actual price with the markup to actually get physical at about $55. It is now 63.77. Oh my god. Oh, what was the high? The high was 64.42. Holy shit. That's bad. That's bad. We've broken past the housing crisis, and the great financial crisis. We've gone past those levels. That's good. That's a good sign. Oh, what the hell is gold? Whoops. Give me just a second here. Oh, god damn it. Don't do this shit. There we go. All right. Gold is at 4,287.70. That is down from, I mean, it's down, but it's still high. From like what, 4,300? 4,330? Oh, good God. That's bad. Anyway, back to the point. As things continue to get worse, okay, as the financial situation declines, female competition between each other, because the reality is, and I did post this in the first, it was a theme in the first part of consumer psychology on the Substack, is that women don't, for the most part, they don't get the luxury handbags, and they don't necessarily do the makeup and looking good for the men directly. They do it more so to compete with other women. All right. When the hyperinflation kicks in, they are competing with the other women for the men and the resources, for the promotions, for in modern day now, for the promotions, for whatever they can get. It's honestly destructive because could you imagine how difficult it could be for a guy when you literally are trying to just go out, do your job, and you are just inundated with fours that look like tens now. Okay, like you're inundated with inflated looks left and right. It makes it very difficult because every guy has the monster in his head, where it's just like, oh god, just get a piece of that, just a little piece of that, and then forget it exists. All right. Although there are, guys who would completely throw any existing relationships behind chasing after the inflated thirst traps. But of course, the thirst traps are only after money, and the second a single dollar more is available, they jump ship. Just like with standard hypergamy, where they jump from, vine to vine, all right, Tarzan style, chasing after whichever chimp has the most coconuts or bananas at the time. This, overall, it's an indicator of how weak the system is. If women are going through all of the effort, if the cosmetic brands, cosmetic companies, they're doing well. Okay, they're doing well. They will continue to do well the worse things get. Okay, because as the competition gets worse, as the resource pinch becomes harsher, women are naturally going to do everything possible to avoid being inconvenienced by the fact that mostly their choices and actions have led to a gigantic financial decline. And honestly, you can say what you want. You can say what you want, but even back to Weimar, back then, and they started that arc of, all right, well, let's start focusing on women's rights and what women want to do, and let's start shifting resources from the male production to the female production. And regardless, it all blows up. Even if it was minor, it was still there. Okay. Now, given I can't put the entire weight of the financial decline on women, that'd be unfair because God knows there are a good amount of men who just continually make incredibly stupid fucking financial decisions. And we keep running into this fucking problem. Okay, we do. We keep running into this fucking problem where we try to do way too much. Okay? We're trying to make it's like we're trying to grow the value of being a human being, grow the value of humanity through civilization, and every single time, at a certain point, it becomes cancerous to the civilization itself, where it's trying to grow the value without regards to the precursors that you need for it. All right, like right now, modern industrial civilization relies incredibly on oil, and with the whole push against fossil fuels, and oh my god, we gotta go green. The oceans should have boiled by now, and the planet should have been in the runaway greenhouse effect, 5 years ago? All of their predictions have been wrong, but they will try to push um, they'll try to push increasingly dumber shit because it's salacious, it's against the system, it sounds real good on paper, like, oh my god, we don't have to do this. But it's like, you and everybody else, y'all have cars, you need to get to work and back. Like, we don't have systems in place to allow easy, quick snap changes like that. It takes a generation to go from fossil fuel to some kind of electric pipe dream. And even still, damn near everything you rely upon is oil based. So something like that just makes no fucking sense at all. Regardless, the thirst trapping is getting worse as time goes on, and using that as an indicator, like the uh, one old indicator is the essentially listening to the strippers complain that the tips are going down. Um, so there is that, but thirst trapping in general has been increasing online. It's getting worse. Even with the AI, like the AI can't even come close. All right. All of these girls are willing to go an extra mile. They keep pushing that envelope to try to get more attention their way, especially as the simp economy's collapsed. You know, all the automation and all of the using AI as a cover to offshore jobs has wiped out the simp economy. So there are not enough quote unquote pay piggies to prop up all these girls on the internet. It's a solid indicator. That's all I'm saying. Expect to see it develop and get worse. All right, and you know the things that would normally, like, we'll probably see an increase in more behavior that we would consider degenerate over the next. I mean, system could collapse any day, but over the next 10 to 20 years, there's going to be a push because, at a certain point, they can't up each other anymore unless they change the laws to make things that were previously considered degenerate fair game. All right, so you'll probably see as time goes on, things continue to get way beyond the realm of what we'd consider decent, and they'll use, liberal, progressive, covers like, yeah, and women in the workplace was also considered unreasonable, untenable, and now it is. Like they'll try to equate it to that, but they'll be pushing more and more to legitimately, deeply, pathologically degenerate shit. Okay? The increase in thirst trapping is just a sign of how things are going. When you think about how many people are in the West, all right, not just the US, but the West in general, and their constant need for validation, and their constant need for more and more resources, standing resources, and a growing base of resources to draw from. Expect the future to be extra dirty, extra kinky, extra degenerate, extra the topics that people, really don't talk about openly. It's fucked up to say it, but honestly, just expect more of that. Just expect more of that. We're oh good God, as we get closer to the collapse point, as if it is a fixed point, but as we get closer to the point where people rationalize it being, all right, we've reached economic collapse, we're gonna see some weird shit, some really weird shit. All right, and I'll end it with that. You guys have a good one. This has been Michael from Spades Consulting. Check out the Substack. Check back here for videos occasionally. And check out the site should you be interested in general advice or just somebody to bullshit with. Honestly, I'm fine with that too. Um, or business advice or, kicking grand ideas, whatever. Um, like the video, subscribe, share it if if you got anybody who needs to see it, anybody who's worth the time to hammer them with this kind of content. Although I wouldn't recommend hammering them with, what. I don't even know if this counts as alternative content anymore since the Red Pill won. But regardless, you guys have a good one. I'll see you next time.